Have you ever wondered whether one of the first things you do each morning could be quietly putting your kidneys under stress? What if a habit you've repeated for years, something that feels completely normal, was slowly contributing to a problem you may not notice until significant damage has already occurred? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, if your kidneys were struggling right now, would you even know it? Many people assume that when something is wrong with their kidneys, the body will send a clear warning. They expect severe pain, dramatic symptoms, or obvious signs that demand attention. But kidney problems often don't work that way. In fact, one of the reasons kidney disease is so dangerous is because it can develop silently. The kidneys are remarkably resilient organs. They continue working even when they're under pressure, and they often compensate for problems long before symptoms become impossible to ignore. By the time many people discover an issue, it may have been developing for years. That's why today's topic is so important. We're going to explore 7 common morning habits that may place unnecessary stress on your kidneys over time. Some of these habits are surprisingly common. Others may seem harmless on the surface, and one of them is performed by millions of people within minutes of waking up every single day. Now, before we begin, it's important to understand something. No single habit automatically causes kidney disease. Health is rarely that simple. The concern is what happens when certain behaviors are repeated day after day, month after month, year after year. Small choices compound, tiny decisions accumulate, and often the habits that feel insignificant in the moment are the ones that quietly shape our long-term health. Think about your morning routine for a moment. Most people follow roughly the same sequence every day. They wake up, head to the kitchen, prepare a drink, take medications, eat breakfast, and begin their daily activities. Because these routines become automatic, we rarely stop to question them. We assume that if we've always done something, it must be fine. But what if one small adjustment could help reduce unnecessary strain on your body? Before we reveal habit number 7, let's talk about why the kidneys deserve more attention than they usually receive. Your kidneys perform hundreds of vital tasks every single day. They filter waste products from your blood. They help regulate blood pressure. They maintain fluid balance. They support healthy mineral levels. They play a role in red blood cell production. They help manage electrolytes that keep muscles and nerves functioning properly. Yet despite all of these responsibilities, many people rarely think about their kidneys until something goes wrong. Imagine a water filtration system that runs 24 hours a day without rest. Year after year, it removes impurities, maintains balance, and keeps everything functioning smoothly. Eventually, if that system is exposed to excessive strain, poor maintenance, or constant overload, its efficiency may begin to decline. Your kidneys face a similar challenge. Every day, they work continuously to help keep your body in balance. And here's what makes aging particularly important in this conversation. As we grow older, natural changes occur throughout the body. Blood vessels may become less flexible. Certain medical conditions become more common. Medication use often increases. Recovery from physical stress may take longer. All of these factors can influence kidney health. That's why habits that seem harmless in our younger years may deserve a second look later in life. Now let's begin our countdown with habit number 7. Habit number 7 is starting the day without proper hydration. This may sound simple, but don't underestimate its importance. During sleep, your body continues losing water through breathing and normal physiological processes. By the time you wake up, you've gone several hours without fluid intake, yet many people immediately begin their day without drinking any water at all. Instead, they head straight for coffee, or tea, or breakfast, or medications. Hours may pass before they consume a meaningful amount of water. Now, does this mean skipping one glass of water automatically damages your kidneys? Of course not. But chronic dehydration can place additional strain on the body's systems, including the kidneys. Proper hydration helps support normal kidney function by assisting the body in removing waste products efficiently. What's interesting is that many older adults don't always recognize mild dehydration. They may not feel intensely thirsty. In fact, the sensation of thirst can become less noticeable with age. This means some people may spend much of the day mildly dehydrated without realizing it. Think about how often you've heard someone say, "I just forgot to drink water today." It happens more than most people realize. And here's where things become even more interesting. Some individuals intentionally avoid drinking fluids because they don't want to make frequent trips to the bathroom. Others limit water intake due to concerns about nighttime urination. While these concerns are understandable, consistently restricting hydration may not be the best long-term strategy. A simple morning habit, drinking a reasonable glass of water shortly after waking, may help support healthy hydration levels throughout the day. But before you rush to grab the largest glass you can find, there's something else you need to know, because the next habit is actually the opposite problem. Habit number 6 is drinking excessive amounts of water all at once. This surprises many people. In today's world, health advice often gets simplified into extremes. People hear that hydration is important and conclude that more water must always be better. As a result, some individuals force themselves to drink enormous amounts of water immediately after waking. But health rarely works according to more is always better. The body is designed to process fluids gradually. Drinking an excessive amount of water within a short period doesn't necessarily provide extra benefits. In some situations, it may simply create unnecessary work for the body as it tries to restore balance. The key principle is consistency. Rather than thinking in terms of extremes, think in terms of steady hydration throughout the day. Small, regular intake often makes more sense than dramatic swings between dehydration and overconsumption. This idea applies to many areas of health. Extreme diets rarely outperform sustainable nutrition. Intense exercise performed occasionally rarely beats moderate exercise performed consistently. Likewise, hydration works best when it's balanced. Now let's move to habit number 5, because this is where many morning routines begin creating problems without people realizing it. Habit number 5 is relying heavily on highly processed breakfast foods. Walk through any grocery store and you'll see hundreds of breakfast products promising convenience: sweet pastries, processed breakfast sandwiches, sugary cereals, packaged baked goods, frozen breakfast meals. Many of these products are designed to save time. Unfortunately, convenience sometimes comes at a cost. One concern is sodium, another concern is added sugar, and another is the collection of preservatives and highly processed ingredients found in many packaged foods. Now, this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. The occasional processed breakfast is unlikely to determine your future health. The concern arises when these foods become the foundation of your daily routine. Imagine starting every morning with foods that contribute to elevated sodium intake, unstable blood sugar, and poor overall nutrition. Repeat that pattern for years, and the effects can begin accumulating. What's particularly deceptive is that some breakfast products are marketed as healthy even when they're loaded with hidden sugars or excessive sodium. Many people never read the nutrition labels. Many assume that if something is sold in the healthy foods section, it must automatically be beneficial. Unfortunately, marketing and nutrition don't always tell the same story. And here's the question you should ask yourself. If your kidneys had a vote, would they choose the breakfast you're eating every morning? That's something worth thinking about, because coming up next is a habit that millions of people perform automatically without ever questioning it, and it may be far more important than most realize. Let's continue with habit number 4, because this is where many people unknowingly begin creating stress, not only for their kidneys, but for their entire body. Habit number 4 is taking over-the-counter pain medications too frequently. Now, let's be clear. Pain medications serve an important purpose. Millions of people rely on them for relief from arthritis, back pain, joint stiffness, headaches, and countless other conditions. The issue isn't occasional use when appropriate. The concern is routine, long-term use without understanding the potential impact on the body. Think about how common this scenario is. Someone wakes up feeling stiff, their knees hurt, their lower back aches, their shoulders feel tight. Before even drinking water or eating breakfast, they reach for a pain reliever because it has become part of their daily routine. After a while, the habit becomes automatic. No questions, no second thoughts, just another part of the morning. What many people don't realize is that certain medications can affect kidney function when used excessively or inappropriately, particularly over long periods. This doesn't mean everyone should stop taking medication. In fact, stopping prescribed medication without medical guidance can be dangerous. The real lesson here is awareness. Many individuals pay close attention to supplements, vitamins, and diet trends while overlooking the medications they consume regularly. Yet those medications may have a far greater impact on the body's systems. The kidneys are responsible for helping process and remove many substances from the bloodstream. Every pill, every medication, every chemical compound eventually becomes part of a larger workload the body must manage. Imagine asking a hard-working employee to perform additional tasks every day without giving them extra support. Eventually, that employee becomes overwhelmed. While the human body is far more complex than that example, the principle remains similar. The kidneys work continuously, and reducing unnecessary burdens whenever possible can be beneficial. Now here's where things become even more concerning. Many people combine several risk factors without realizing it. They wake up slightly dehydrated. They take pain medication. They consume a highly processed breakfast. They have elevated blood pressure. They rarely exercise. Individually, each factor may seem manageable. Together, they create a very different picture. And that brings us to habit number 3. This habit may seem harmless because it's often associated with comfort, energy, and enjoyment. Habit number 3 is consuming excessive sugar early in the morning. For many people, breakfast has become dessert. Think about some of the most popular morning choices: sweetened coffee drinks, flavoured creamers, sugary cereals, pastries, donuts, muffins, sweetened yogurts, energy drinks. Some of these products contain more sugar than people realise. And here's the challenge: when blood sugar rises rapidly, the body must work hard to restore balance. Over time, consistently poor blood sugar control can contribute to serious health concerns. Most people know about the connection between blood sugar and diabetes. What many don't fully appreciate is the close relationship between diabetes and kidney health. In fact, diabetes remains one of the leading causes of kidney disease around the world. That's why this morning habit deserves attention. Again, this isn't about eliminating every enjoyable food from your life. It's about recognizing patterns. Ask yourself a simple question. If someone secretly recorded your breakfast choices for the next 30 days, what would those choices reveal about your habits? Would they show balance? Or would they reveal a routine dominated by convenience and excess sugar? Many people don't realize how often they consume hidden sugars throughout the day because those sugars arrive in liquids. Sweetened coffee beverages can be particularly deceptive because they don't feel like dessert. Yet some contain enough sugar to rival a slice of cake. Now imagine repeating that pattern every morning for years. The effects may not appear immediately, but long-term health is often shaped by repeated daily choices rather than dramatic one-time events. And speaking of long-term effects, we need to discuss something many people completely overlook, because the next habit has nothing to do with food, nothing to do with water, and nothing to do with medication. Yet it may be one of the most dangerous habits on this entire list. Habit number 2 is ignoring early warning signs. This may sound obvious, but it happens every single day. A person notices swelling around their ankles. They ignore it. Someone experiences changes in urination. They dismiss it. Another person feels unusual fatigue. They blame aging. Someone notices persistent high blood pressure. They assume it's normal. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. The warning signs remain. The underlying problem progresses. And eventually, a situation that might have been addressed early becomes much more difficult to manage. One of the biggest mistakes people make as they get older is assuming every symptom is simply part of aging. Yes, aging brings changes, but not every change should be accepted without question. Your body communicates constantly. The challenge is learning when to listen. Many kidney-related issues don't begin with dramatic symptoms. Instead, they often start with subtle clues: changes in urination, persistent swelling, difficulty controlling blood pressure, unexplained fatigue, loss of appetite, brain fog, sleep disturbances. None of these symptoms automatically mean kidney disease, but they do mean something deserves attention. The earlier a potential problem is identified, the more opportunities there may be to address contributing factors. Unfortunately, many people delay action because they feel fine overall. And that's exactly why silent conditions can become so dangerous. The absence of pain doesn't always mean the absence of a problem. The absence of symptoms doesn't always mean the absence of damage. That's a lesson worth remembering. Now, before we reveal the number one habit, consider everything we've discussed so far. Skipping hydration, overdoing hydration, highly processed breakfasts, frequent medication use, excessive sugar, ignoring warning signs. Notice a pattern? None of these habits seem dramatic. None of them create an immediate crisis. That's what makes them dangerous. The greatest threats to long-term health are often the habits that appear harmless because they become normal. And the number one habit on today's list fits that description perfectly. In fact, millions of people perform it every single morning without giving it a second thought. And what makes it especially concerning is that many believe they're actually helping their health when they're doing it. Let's reveal that final habit next. And now we've reached the number one morning habit that may quietly increase stress on your kidneys over time. The habit is completely neglecting your blood pressure. At first glance, this may not sound as dramatic as some of the other habits we've discussed. In fact, many people are surprised when they learn how closely blood pressure and kidney health are connected. Here's why it matters. Your kidneys contain millions of tiny blood vessels that help filter waste from your bloodstream. These delicate structures depend on healthy circulation to function properly. When blood pressure remains consistently elevated for long periods, those blood vessels can gradually become damaged. Think of it like water flowing through a garden hose. If the pressure remains too high for too long, wear and tear begin to occur. The same basic principle applies to blood vessels throughout the body. What's especially concerning is that high blood pressure often produces few noticeable symptoms. Many people feel perfectly normal while their numbers remain elevated. They continue their daily routines, unaware that silent changes may be taking place inside the body. This is why health experts often refer to high blood pressure as a silent condition. Now imagine this situation. A person wakes up every morning, they drink sugary coffee, they eat a high-sodium breakfast, they rarely exercise, they're under constant stress, their sleep quality is poor, their blood pressure gradually rises over the years, nothing feels dramatically wrong, no emergency occurs, life continues normally. Yet behind the scenes, their body may be dealing with a growing challenge. This is one reason regular blood pressure monitoring can be so valuable, especially as we age. The goal isn't fear, the goal is awareness, because awareness creates opportunity. And opportunity creates the possibility for positive change. Now here's something fascinating. Many people spend enormous amounts of money searching for miracle supplements, secret remedies, and trendy health hacks while ignoring the basic habits that often make the biggest difference. The reality is that kidney health is usually influenced by the same foundational principles that support overall health: balanced nutrition, regular movement, adequate hydration, quality sleep, stress management, routine medical care. These habits aren't exciting. They don't make dramatic headlines, but they consistently appear in discussions about healthy aging, and perhaps that's because the fundamentals still matter. Now let's take a step back and review everything we've covered today. Habit number 7 was starting the day without proper hydration. Habit number 6 was consuming excessive amounts of water all at once instead of maintaining steady hydration throughout the day. Habit number 5 was relying heavily on highly processed breakfast foods packed with sodium, sugar, and preservatives. Habit number 4 was routinely using certain over-the-counter pain medications without fully understanding their potential long-term impact. Habit number 3 was consuming excessive sugar early in the morning through beverages and breakfast choices. Habit number 2 was ignoring warning signs that deserved attention. And habit number 1 was neglecting blood pressure awareness and management. What's interesting is that none of these habits seem extreme. That's the lesson. Most health challenges aren't created by a single catastrophic event. They're often influenced by thousands of small decisions repeated over many years. The extra sugary drink, the skipped glass of water, the ignored symptom, the postponed appointment, the daily habit that feels insignificant because it has become routine. Over time, these choices accumulate, and while no one can change the past, everyone can influence the future. In fact, one of the most encouraging aspects of healthy aging is realizing that positive changes can begin immediately. You don't need a perfect diet tomorrow. You don't need to exercise for 3 hours a day. You don't need to completely transform your life overnight. Small improvements matter. A healthier breakfast, a daily walk, better hydration, paying attention to blood pressure, scheduling a checkup you've been postponing. These actions may seem simple, but simple actions performed consistently often produce the most meaningful results. And here's something worth remembering. Your kidneys never ask for recognition. They never demand attention. They simply continue working every hour of every day, filtering, balancing, supporting, protecting. Even when you aren't thinking about them, perhaps that's why they deserve a little more care than they often receive. Now let me ask you a question. Which habit surprised you the most? Was it the connection between blood pressure and kidney health? The role of processed breakfast foods? The danger of ignoring warning signs? Or perhaps the realization that small daily routines can have a greater impact than many people assume? Whatever your answer may be, the most important takeaway is this. Healthy aging isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about understanding that the choices you make today influence the quality of life you may experience tomorrow. Every morning represents a new opportunity, a new chance to support your body, a new chance to make a slightly better decision, a new chance to build habits that work for you rather than against you. Because while aging is inevitable, how we respond to aging remains partly within our control. And sometimes, the path toward better health doesn't begin with a dramatic change. Sometimes it begins with something as simple as looking at your morning routine and asking a single question. Are my daily habits helping my kidneys or quietly making their job harder? Thank you for spending this time with us today. If you found this information valuable, consider sharing it with a friend or family member who may benefit from hearing it. After all, many people are unknowingly following these habits every day, and one small conversation could encourage someone to make a positive change that benefits their health for years to come. Take care of yourself, stay informed, and remember, the small choices you make each morning may have a bigger impact on your future than you realize.